Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, your host, ImperialDane. And today we have for you a 1 vs 1 on Egletons. Yes, indeed, it is another return to Egletons. I am in fact getting a lot of fights on this map, rather interestingly. And so, of course, I am getting some better ideas of this map, which is, of course, rather interesting. It is sort of Anglo-Villian layout with the slight difference that there's no real bocage, and the shifting of victory points and resources is also a bit notable, but the main effort really being that you have 4 strategic points that sort of control access to most of the resources on the map, in fact, plus the fact you have this long winding road right through it. And thus I know I'm just calling it the Angloville layout, since it's, well, Angloville is rather the first map I know of to actually have this sort of layout. So, and of course, let's go have a look at the 2 opposing armies. In the south, we have AlCoHolic, or Al Company of Heroes. Olic could be he has a bit too fondness of alcohol, or just Company of Heroes. Either way, I certainly can't blame him with the Company of Heroes bit. But there he is, leading the 28th Infantry Division in their charge against the Reich's defenses on the plains of Normandy, or the field. So one really knows much plains about it. And in the north we are seeing the ever mysterious ImperialDane of the 352nd Grenadier Division, ready to show those Yankees what this is all about. And let us get to it, shall we? 352nd Grenadier Division being one of the few more veteran divisions on the beaches of Normandy, composed of Eastern Front veterans who were dispatched to the beach, possibly for a bit of recuperation and getting together. Of course, they were also one of the few divisions to actually have any Stooks, any sort of armor in the American sector by that time, as their Panzer Lehr Abteilung had received Stooks instead of the usual Martyrs as were customary at that time. So they did have a bit of armor to actually support them, and these Dukes were as well some more veteran fellows, so they actually knew what it was all about, rather than some fresh ones out of the Stuk Academy. I'm not entirely sure. Artillery school, I suppose, since what perhaps people are not entirely aware of, the Stuks were actually a part of the artillery branch of the Wehrmacht, and so were crewed by artillery crewmen, rather than tankers or anything the likes thereof. And we are seeing AlCoHolic rather focusing heavily on the western part of the map, going straight for the fuel area and of course all the buildings. Rather interesting, of course, not opting for the more open areas, of course. Rather depends on where you go yourselves. I am of course sending off the ever wonderful Grenadiers to the field. And there we go, seizing this fuel point as well. And the high yield munitions point has fallen in American hands. Riflemen going straight for the nearby fuel point. In fact, this will be the first one really, except this one, which is of course rather exposed, in particular now as the Grenadiers are joining in the fun, getting the shots on the engineers and closing in across open ground. And there we go, but looks like the engineers might actually have a small advantage there due to the heavy cover. Grenadiers in fact taking quite a bit of fire. One might in fact go down to the engineers. There we go again. Engineers and pioneers can in fact be slightly lethal up close, but again not that much again. And there we go, forced retreat, albeit they did manage to get a Grenadier down. And my goodness, what is this? We are seeing a jeep. That's a bit of a rarity. Usually means of course a bit of jeep pushing around, not something I'm entirely fond of, but it is a bit of a rarity. You don't see much using it, but there we go. Grenadiers trying to get into the house, but the jeep placing itself in the way, but too late though. Grenadiers get into the building, albeit heavily wounded, and with losses opening fire there. Riflemen and jeep getting right on front the doorstep, trying to break in. Let us in, little Grenadiers, they are saying, but the Grenadiers keep the doors closed. One more Grenadiers down. The jeep desperately tries to really push around these Grenadiers, but chaps inside the building are firing away as well, not really doing well for the jeep. And now getting into the building as well, creating a rather strong position there with 7 Grenadiers inside, able to fire out all windows pretty much, leaving behind only the jeep, and it is not looking too well. In fact, an MG42 Maschinengewehr 42 on the field. Jeep continuing a bit of harassment, and probably it would have been better off trying to harass my pioneers rather than trying to push around. Of course, right here next to a building is perhaps not the best spot to do it anyways. Volksgrenadiers on the march, hoping to catch this devious little automobile, but no, it gets away, and we are seeing further riflemen hitting the field. The other ones are receiving some reinforcements, and the engineers are ready once more. MG42 sending up here. Nice position. I figure, of course, it can be flanked, since, of course, there's nothing really there to sort of prevent that, so a bit of care has to be taken. MG42 gunners catch some riflemen in their sights, but do not manage to suppress them. The riflemen get past them. Pioneers are on their own versus this entire American force. Could easily end up badly. And we are seeing a second engineer team sneaking about in the west. What they shall do is, of course, the question. And third Volksgrenadier team is on the way. A bit of barbed wire there to sort of prevent anyone from taking up positions there, and of course getting the drop on the heavy machine gun there. And we are seeing these engineers getting stopped by some Volksgrenadiers. Jeep continuing to take a bit of fire, though having been repaired it is able to take a bit more. Pioneers not looking too good. Mines are down though to sort of help protect this area. But the Americans are pushing in the east, and Volksgrenadiers are pushing in from the west. Riflemen being suppressed due to the mine. And further Volksgrenadiers are marching in as well, going to mean a local superiority in numbers, in particular with these riflemen being suppressed and in fact taking quite a bit of damage now. Forced to retreat right through all of these. Volksgrenadiers might end up badly, or they might be able to get away just barely. Looks like it. Further riflemen moving in from the south. Jeep doing a bit of movement as well. All bunching up, and the Volksgrenadiers are continuing in. All full strength, albeit a bit wounded. There we go, only one rifleman team in the ditch against 15 Volksgrenadiers. That is certainly not a favorable engagement, and I'd certainly recommend in this case actually to retreat, since when you're outnumbered there's rarely a point to actually trying to take on this many. It's usually only going to end up in tears, in particular now. Yes, skirmish phase has been reached, and so has the Panzerfaust, scorching this Jeep and lighting it up. Riflemen will have to retreat alongside these engineers. This engagement has not been good for the Americans, only killing 2 Volksgrenadiers for the loss of 4 riflemen, a Jeep and 2 engineers. And that is what you call bad. And the West Pioneers are securing the high yield fuel point. Not medium yield, there's no high yield fuel point on this map, my apologies. But mines are being laid down to protect this against harassment. Riflemen moving in, while these are on their own. Seems a bit curious to spread them out. An attempt at sort of trying to group them up might have a bit more success rather than spreading them out this heavily. But that is my opponent's choice. Of course, he might have a plan with it. Pioneers getting out of there, perhaps laying down some more mines. In fact, mines have been laid down there at this strategic point as well. Pioneers moving in here, perhaps hoping to sort of fortifying this area, or perhaps going for this point. Small engagement here as Volksgrenadiers are coming in under fire. Not entirely sure as to the size of the American force, so are conducting a slight retreat towards stronger positions, and the riflemen hit the mine. My goodness. There we go, barbed wire being laid down a bit here to hinder enemy movement and make this, of course, a much stronger point. Of course, this entire area is still open to any Yankee assaults. Pack on the field, Volksgrenadier team retreating, and Pioneers charging in towards these riflemen, getting one down with their MP40s, another down in fact. Might in fact, no, they don't get another one, but still 2 riflemen dead is still a nice exchange. And American forces moving in larger numbers. Minesweepers, this is good, of course. If you notice your opponents using mines, getting a minesweeper is generally the best idea. Grenadiers hitting the field as well. The pack sort of ready in case I'm seeing some armored cars, which is sort of what I expect seeing, as his riflemen at this point in the game do not have BARs or grenades. Then the usual suspicion is that he must be having gone for the armored car. Grenade being dropped, not doing much there though, but Volksgrenadiers are joining in the Grenadiers. in the fight, and the riflemen are taking quite a bit of damage. All taking up position right here in this small redoubt. Grenadiers taking quite heavy losses. Grenade being dropped right into here. Rather nice spot, and there we go. Several riflemen are lost in to this single grenade. Of course, this is a good thing if you are seeing lots of infantry being bunched up. Grenades of any kind are brilliant. In particular, if you're using bundled or pineapple grenades, then it's absolutely brilliant. Flamethrowers, though, moving in, forcing the Grenadiers and Grenadiers to retreat. And in fact, he hasn't really taken any victory points, so I am at the lead at that, which of course can always be to the advantage. Of course, you don't always have to go for all of them right away, but at least always having one can be useful. There we go. Looks like the American is realizing that he needs them, otherwise his 28th Infantry Division might be in a bit of trouble. Mines being laid down here to protect the flank of this building, the rather vulnerable flank, of course. A bit of barbed wire here in the ditch could also be of help. Pack still there, ready to rush out to any position where infantry might be appearing. And the assault phase has been reached, meaning of course Sturm Armory going up, and of course I might see some Stuks being sent into the field. Grenadiers and Grenadiers charging in for the fatherland. And one engineer goes down. And the pack also gets a bit of fun, but doesn't hit anything, as seems to be the usual bit against infantry. MG42 hoping to get a kill, but does not succeed, and further mines going down right this time in the ditch. And Grenadiers and Grenadiers slowly advancing, seizing territory. Of course, I am cautious, since I suspect my opponent might, of course, have laid down mines of his own. And riflemen moving in with BARs. Browning automatic rifles being equipped for the Americans, and we're also seeing a larger force moving in from the southwest. Grenadiers and Grenadiers, though, getting a drop on these riflemen. And they are forced to retreat, only one making it out of there once more. No doctrine chosen yet for these brave lads. Grenadiers marching out, and I might be expecting some Stuk 4 action for the Sturm Armory. Riflemen moving in through here. And we are seeing a supply yard going up for the Americans. The 3 are sent already up to sort of help the infantry. Riflemen going for this victory point, which is rather located nicely here. MG42, though, catching the riflemen, and Grenadiers moving in from the north. Riflemen coming under quite a bit of fire when these are hanging about, taking this fuel point for Uncle Sam. Grenadiers slowly advancing, hoping to get the drop on these riflemen and get them, and hopefully secure the victory point at the church. MG42 once more opening up, in fact pinning down the riflemen. Grenadier team number 1, they're suffering heavy losses in the charge. Engineers moving in with minesweepers, it seems like. And we also seen engagements over here with Grenadiers versus riflemen once more. Riflemen quickly seeking up cover in the ditch right here. And we are seeing riflemen moving in from the west up there. Numerous engagements, in fact taking up a nice position right here. And this sort of, I'm not entirely sure what you call this sort of feature, but with plenty of heavy cover though. And we are seeing engineers moving in here with minesweepers and beginning to in fact clear out the mine, I think, very soon. Riflemen charging in. Stuk 4, though, moving in for the fatherland. Engineers with flamethrowers. My goodness, action on all sides. Attacks, attacks, and further attacks. Grenadiers barely getting out of there. Stuk 4 opening up, hitting absolutely nothing, though. Pack trying as well, but not having much success either there. And once more, a missed shot. Engagement continuing here, not looking good for the Grenadiers, though, who are not able to match the firepower of the